right. First and foremost, I started out in Brunswick, Ohio, which is a small suburb of Cleveland, Ohio, the mistake on the lake. And everybody knows that we've had really bad luck with the Cleveland Browns, the Cavaliers, the Indians, and now they renamed us to the Guardians. It's a disaster. But I have found the shadows in between, and I grew up right around the corner from Crybaby Bridge. So my family didn't have a lot of money growing up, so we didn't go to the movies, we didn't do a lot of stuff. So we found things to do, like in the creek or in the haunted woods. And once I started driving, I would bring all my friends to Crybaby Bridge. It was this place that had a dark history of satanic sacrifice and shadow creatures, and then the Grassmen. And I love just correlating it all together. That's where Ryan says the woo, the spectrum. It's the truth. It's me. It's all of us, you know. And if anybody's against waveforms and portals, well, I'll just tell you right now, electrons, protons, and neutrons, what we're all made out of. We have two forms. Particle form, solid, 99.9999% of the time, but inside of our capabilities, we can become waveform. So that opens up the possibilities of time travel, of disappearance, and portals, because we're all just energy. And I love to tap into that energy. And Chaz mentioned a little earlier about meditation and, drug-induced transit. But I like fasting, and I like really pushing myself to the limit of where my mind is. And I found myself on the outside of a lot of circles, and my family, half of them think I'm crazy, and the other half is happy that I'm finally getting my books out and, getting this madness into some kind of orchestration. But in all those struggles, I find my true tribe. And right along here, I'm with my family and friends, people I've camped with, people I look to for inspiration. I grew up Googling Dave Shealy in the Skunk Ape headquarters, and I've watched Ryan on Finding Bigfoot and then Expedition Bigfoot. And then just being inspired by all the people around me, being able to camp and hike with Mid-Florida Research Team. Tim Turner, he has incredible tracking skills, and they have taken me in as family. So whenever I'm here in Central Florida, they take me under their roof and we hit the green swamp. But back to Ohio, I started camping in Salt Fork, which all you guys from Ohio know there's Bigfoot Ridge in Salt Fork. So it is a really crazy place to be after dark. And just growing up, before I ever seen Finding Bigfoot, before I even was open about knowing about these creatures, I was always into scary movies and serial killers and just creation. I'm an artist, I'm a poet, I'm a creator, so I had to just fall in line and find that balance. And I made music growing up, and people thought I was just outrageous, but now I realize I'm just a person with many thoughts, and I didn't have many outlets as a kid. I wasn't able to write my books, I wasn't able to be in podcasts, so I was getting into trouble once in a while and, sniffing where I wasn't supposed to be. And that led me down many paths down in southern Ohio, in the Ohio Valley. And again, if you guys know anything about Ohio and West Virginia, that's where Mothman is, Ohio River. And there's also Indiana muck monsters, mermaids, the green-clawed beast. So again, I was interested in Bigfoot, I was interested in serial killers, but I was thrown full force into this. And I have seen strange things in my mind, in my dreams, and just out of the corner of my eye. And I feel like I've broken down the wall of just comfort of my mind, that these creatures, they feel a little bit accessible to me. And again, as a platform, as a Bigfoot guy, I have a lot of far out theories and truths of the world, and there's a lot of stuff being uncovered. But a lot of these stories that people have reported, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they would have been rewritten. You send it to the BFRO and you saw something disappear, it's not going to be in the final report. So I feel like, being just clear and, taking the losses sometimes and admitting when you don't know what it is. That is part of the report. Just like Thomas was saying, you can report something July 2001, and it's going to help somebody in July 2026. It's going to connect the dots. So I feel like everybody's answers, everybody's story, it all correlates, and I'm just the glue to bring it together. And I've written a lot of books, and they're my stories, they're stories people's told me, but they're also just a reflection of who people have like turned me into. I'm a reflection of the best people around me. My parents, my mom, grew up on a farm, and she is really into like hunting and coyotes. And then my dad, he was from the city, he's a firefighter, didn't get his hands dirty much. So it was a really interesting balance for me to be all gung-ho in this magic and mystery stuff, and them to kind of not be fully into it, but to still support me, and that really goes a long way. So I spent the first 24 years in Ohio, and lived my life. I worked at grocery stores, movie rental places. I refereed flag football. Well, every January was national tournament down here in Lakeland, Orlando, Tampa area. Every January, I watched my dad play, then I played with my dad, then I refereed, and then I started doing video work. So January came, my house was already for sale. I took the passenger seat out of my car, a little Ford Escort, and built a bed, and then I just started living at state parks and dead-end roads, and life really happened to me. Like I thought I was dense in Ohio. I thought I was who I was in Cleveland. But then once you start to have to really rely on others and be vulnerable to the world, you find out who you are. And I got to live in Lakeland for a year with a punk rock musical band that we were doing seances every night. We were going to graveyards, and when we were playing shows, we were playing at Ybor or some strange Lakeland venue that had ghost stories like the Polk Theater. A lot of crazy, just weird stuff, but that's the thing. We're all living this weird life, but it just seems normal. But as Mark Muncie will tell you, there's tons of stories in every single direction, and I'm pretty well researching some of it, and he blows my mind. And Gary Brand, Minutes in the Mist. I love being inspired, and I feel like I'm boom, 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 a million miles per hour. And when people are keeping up with me on the highway, it's inspirational, man. So keep up all your guys' work, and even if you're not putting it into books or anything, just speaking your truth is honestly farther than anything. I find myself, again, on the outside of a lot of conversations because I've just put in the trials and tribulations that I've seen the hard truths of this world. I don't believe NASA. I don't believe the establishment. None of these billionaires are trying to save us one bit. It's all of us. It's community. And look at this, we're in Florida and we're living, hugging, shaking hands. Some places still in America, still in this country, are acting like that. Like that can't exist. So again, just us being here and being brave and smiling at each other, it goes a long way. And maybe in 2 years, if we're facing another lockdown, we're going to realize that, we are the pioneers of this. And I'm big on just being the example. The last 3 years, that hasn't slowed me down one bit. I've been fishing, I've been hugging my friends, traveling, going to concerts, trying to live my life. And you guys might not remember me, my name, or anything I say, but I hope you guys just remember a little glimpse of how I make you feel. Either that guy's goofy and I don't want to be him, or just, hey, not everything's so black and white and predictable in this world. There's still that little bit of Shazam and magic and just so many question marks. There's still, I'm still running after so many questions every single day. Our DNA is older than this earth. That gets me going so much that everything they've told us, there's a second layer to it. Like there's been a flood on top of it. And I might as well mention the mud flood. Some people think I'm crazy for saying that there used to be giant trees that touch the top of the dome. And all of our favorite religious books, all of our movies that come from Disney, it all touches on it. There's a world up in the sky like Jack and Beanstalk, and then there's a world down below like The Hobbit, like The Jungle Cruise, like The Journey to the Center of the Earth. I think it's really important and really crucial to our soul, to our existence as humanity, to look at these weird things that are out there, because I think that Sasquatch might be the bridge to the Creator. So I get laughed at every single day that I'm a hippie and I believe in Bigfoot, but this is my God, this is my church, this is my Bible, this is my existence. And you know, I can connect it to Cain and the Nephilim and all the Indian gods and the Native American lore, but I just love being here in the situation and seeing, you know, the smiles and hearing a story that really blows your mind and flips your world upside down. I could go to sleep tonight knowing that I don't know everything, and that gets me up in the morning. I don't need coffee, I don't need speed, I don't need none of that. I just need knowing that there are sea turtles out there bigger than islands, and I'm ready to find them. There's Jurassic Park, Ice Age, all these silly movies, they hide the details of the exact truth right there. But, all right, so I was in Lakeland for a while, for a whole year, and I got to research the Green Swamp, which, of course, you guys here in the Central Florida area, you guys know, the Green Swamp is like the mecca for the skunk ape. And I've had a lot of strange stuff happen there. We've recorded weird howls, weird knocks. One of our members was attacked by a bunch of wasps or hornets, and she had to be rushed out of there. We thought her throat was swelling up. We found a hawk with a broken neck. And then my favorite find was with Winnette and Tim Turner when we found some clear hair on a fence. And everybody says, oh, there's no Sasquatch DNA. We haven't found a body. There's no proof. No, guys. If you dig hard enough, you're going to see that they've been captured. They've been bred. There's, you know, tons of documents of Native American tribal leaders, military veterans, professors, and just top-notch professionals like police officers, firemen, loggers, truck drivers. They all have credible sightings while on the clock. They risk their life, their family's, you know, future to give us a glimpse of their story, their truth. And I owe them my ear for that. And I think, you know, everybody should. But the Green Swamp provides such a strange, weird place right in the middle of the state. And there's tons of stories of disappearing cemeteries that also link with Ocala. And not many people know that Ocala and Green Swamp are actually connected underground through mines. And there's tons of research. I know Charles and Chris have done tons of books and diving into the world underneath. And I think that the Sasquatch are the gatekeepers, the guardians. They're protecting us from what's down below. There is a whole nother existence down below, a whole nother sun, more land, more everything. And that's the big question. Is it more you and I's? Is there exact copies of you and I past the ice wall? Or is there just more people? And that's what I'm after. But most people can't even get past the 60th parallel because we've all been programmed to think one way. And I challenge myself every day to think outside the norm. So I just challenge everybody that, you know, calls me a friend or family. Just challenge yourself. And even everything I see, challenge that. That's how we get better in this. But then Hurricane Irma hit, and we were talking about Hurricane Irma earlier. And while Hurricane Irma hit, I moved to the Panhandle. And I still remember thinking, what did my mom do moving to Marianna, Florida? I still remember pulling off the exit and not seeing anything and kind of being bummed that I was leaving Lakeland, that was kind of popping, and then going out to country Marianna Alta. But now I realized that I was guided by the stars. It was aligned by something. Because within the first few weeks being there, I realized that I was very close to a lot of places that I've been researching. Stacy Brown recorded this 9-foot skunk ape in 2012 with his dad at Torreya State Park. And that is less than 10 minutes from where I go to sleep every night. So that creature could be, you know, in my backyard very quickly. But I started doing more research into the area, and it really just expounded into amazing things. That area where Torreya State Park is falls in the middle of the Garden of Eden, a 15 square mile radius in the Panhandle, Florida. 27 of the 28 trees in the Bible are in that preserve. Gopher wood, which Noah used to build the ark, the lightest, strongest wood in the world, you cannot break it. It only is found in like 3 places in the world, and the Florida Panhandle, right in that preserve, is one of them. a delta that breaks into four rivers. There's many examples that prove it. Or that link it. Again, I'm not saying it's the only Eden. I believe there are many Atlantises, many Edens, many lost civilizations that have been flooded or just disappeared from this realm. And I think we're onto it, And in the Panhandle, we have a chance to walk with the Titans, with the Leviathans. But my favorite story from that Garden of Eden area, and again, I want everybody, y'all don't have to remember my name, nothing. This story is what's most important. All right, 1873, the Ocheesee Pond Swamp. Ocheesee Pond Swamp is in the Panhandle of Florida. 1873, this wild man was harassing women and children in the swamp village. It got so bad that Native American gatherers and Civil War veterans teamed up together and surrounded this creature in the Devil's Half Acre. They netted the creature, and then they actually captured it and sent it to the capital, to Tallahassee. And the governor said, oh, no way, not here. Sent to Chattahoochee Hospital. And Chattahoochee, if you guys are film nerds, Gary Oldman made a movie called Chattahoochee that he was a PTSD survivor, and he went to the asylum and they treated him like a criminal and did testing on him. So if they did that to war veterans, then imagine what they did to the swamp thing. But the story is they kept him there for 3 years, and then he sadly passed away, and they buried him with a bunch of Native Americans, and then they put a building on top of him. It would be really nice if we can get some kind of scanning or some kind of radar, but I know that it's really far-fetched. But I've talked to many people that still live in Ocheesee Pond, and the descendants are still lurking today. I talked to this one guy, he's an old radio guy that made his own earpiece because he's losing his hearing, and he can tune it to listen to like different tones and can hear them breathing, and has recorded their deep gurgling and can tell when they have phlegm in their lungs. It's really exciting. But there's also been other stories of a kid that was kidnapped there and actually escaped a Sasquatch, a giant skeleton that was found up in the trees, and then a race of wolf children, so the actual people that have hair on their face. But the Ocheesee Pond Wildman story was on the front page of the New York Times, and Expedition Bigfoot, Finding Bigfoot, Bigfoot Chronicles, any Bigfoot establishment has never even sniffed it, and I think there's something to that because they had this thing captured for 3 years and they were doing testing on it. They had a file on it. So again, the Ocheesee Pond Wildman, captured in 1873 in the Panhandle of Florida, and the descendants are still lurking today. But what a really cool thing is my best friend in the Panhandle, Jack McClellan, the director of the movies that I've been making. He helped make Zillafoot, which Zillafoot, wow, so bad it's good. But I'm very proud of it because it's in Walmart, so you can find it on Walmart. But Jack McClellan, what was a blessing meeting him. He's a director from FSU. He's an FSU film student. So we get me, who's balls to the wall in the swamp, and then you got the guy who's carrying $8,000 worth of gear trying to keep up with me. So it's a really beautiful thing. But he's a tech whiz. He is the head IT guy of Chattahoochee Hospital. And Chattahoochee Hospital, you can't get in there. That's a top-notch place. But since I'm his friend, I get to go visit him, and he lives on campus. So I have filmed the entrances into the deep underground military bases, the building that's supposedly on top of the grave. I have filmed that. And then some other people say that he's buried deep in the woods and there's an abandoned golf course. So we've walked the golf course and looked for him out there. So it's really cool, being boots on the ground looking for Bigfoot graves when there's people saying we need to get a body, And no, I do not advocate killing these creatures at all. They are human hybrids, based on my data, and I have nothing for murderers. So, we need to live in peace and connection and learn from these creatures. And a lot of people are, and their stories hopefully will, rise up one day, but just eliminate the rhetoric that there's no Bigfoot proof, that we need a body. We need to just cut all that, out. Like 2023 does not need to hear any of that. But yeah, man, the Ocheesee Pond is definitely a wild spot, and I have kayaked there. I've spent the night out there accidentally because In the early days, we would just go balls to the wall and a little less planning. And sometimes those make the best chapters in my books, but I had some scary, scary nights. But being around in the Panhandle, I became good friends with Donnie Miller. He runs Standing Goats Rescue. This guy is one of the best guys. He doesn't hold me to nothing, but I hold myself to a higher standard just for knowing him. Like, I don't swear on podcasts no more. I don't smoke in front of him. I'm always on my best behavior. But his story is incredible. It's the Mariana Caveman. And of course, everywhere I go, I always research the haunted areas, and when I moved to somewhere, when I went to college, I always looked it up. So right when I moved to Mariana, I was looking up Mariana Bigfoot, and I came up Mariana Caveman, and it was a 12-foot tall Neanderthal creature found in a cave off of Highway 73, right by where my mom lives. So that story always stuck with me. And I went down in a cave that is really close to there, and I found a crazy footprint. It wasn't huge. It definitely wasn't no 12-footer. I think it was a juvenile or a female, but it was very narrow, and it was climbing uphill. So we got the toe scrapes and everything. It's very cool definition. I got it in a case at home. It didn't make the trip. But during the discovery, I have it on video, there was mass interference. And of course, a lot of people know that these creatures have, superpowers, but I think it's just the top of the animal kingdom. Infrasound, of course, big cats have infrasound. Echolocating, just like bats and dolphins. Even just like stomps, like elephants. They can stomp on the ground and communicate for miles. So I think these tree knocks and tree breaks, they mean something. And there's definitely frequencies in it. And yes, when us humans do it, they can tell the difference. I see some comments, it's like, I like this documentary till you started knocking on trees. It's like, man, it's all trial and error, experimentation. I'll never knock anybody for trying anything, because we're going after these strange creatures there in the woods. They're very curious. We got to do something to raise their curiosity. And I feel like that's why us young guys, me, Chaz, Matt Williamson in the back, we go out there with, no expectations and no walls around us. And that just allows for things to happen. You have to mentally prepare days in advance. Manifestation. You have to let it happen. And I'm big on, if I go out with a group, we'll do breathing exercises together, just for 5 minutes, just so we're not, if there's 5 of us, we're not individually going into the swamp at that point. If we all could do some breathing and just connect at one point, we're a team. And maybe that would be intimidating to some Bigfoot, but I feel like it wouldn't be as chaotic, so they'd fully come in. And I feel like we have to really start focusing mentally before anything. Dave was talking about technology and all that, and it's definitely going to push the game further, but these creatures are always going to be one step ahead, so we have to meet them somewhere. And I think the mental aspect and the physical aspect are two different alleys that you have to simultaneously kind of go after. And I'm always trying to expand my mind and challenge myself. And when I go out there, just like Ryan was saying, you have to turn it off. All these theories and all this chaos that I'm spewing, I let that go when I'm out there, and I just let it happen to me. And it subtly tells me exactly what I need to hear. I feel like Matt Williamson, a lot of us wouldn't be here today without that pursuit of something more. If it comes in Sasquatch, in energy, in the horoscopes for high school girls, I won't knock it. I think there's power in everything, and I think the establishment is very scared of us as a community, us together, and that's why they're trying to interfere with our health, with our mind. I just, try to push everybody, stay natural, stay positive, and when things are just broken, that's when the brightest morning comes. So, I know I get a little chaotic and stuff, but again, just remember just to stay positive, and the things will follow through. I lived out of my car. I was sleeping under bridges, at state parks, at dead-end roads, and I met who I needed to meet when I was who I was supposed to be. And when I took the shortcut, the world stomped on me. So, just walk your walk, and all your needs will be met in abundance. And, speak your truths, and the right people will find you. And even if the whole world is against you, you know in your heart. And I run with that, and it goes a very long way. And I definitely appreciate all you guys, hanging out with me and being a part of this, because I'm definitely just getting started. If you guys, follow me online, I'm very active on podcasts. I do like 3 to 5 a week, and I feel like I'm batting like 800. Most of them are probably pretty good. But then I'm also very busy with documentaries and making movies too. And just to talk back about it, Zillafoot is on Amazon Prime. It's in Walmart, FYE, Best Buy. The first movie, my characters are, I'm a cryptid research officer. So the military brings me in for my expertise, and I tell them that it's raining down from the firmament and they're coming from the cracks of the earth. And I have a really strong flashlight on my head, and it keeps going in the general's eyes. And he doesn't care what I gotta say. He just gets me out of the bunker. But it's so bad, it's good, it's hilarious. But I am really excited because our 3 characters, the military guys, are going to be in the sequel. So it's not going to be such a hosh-posh. It's just going to be focused on us. So Zillafoot 2 will be much better, much better. But one I'm really proud of is the Void Cat. Dogman fans, Dogman is the big craze now. You guys know, you hashtag Dogman and your stuff goes viral. But it's called The Void Cat, and I am the main character in this movie. It's doing very well in film festivals. It's gotten like top 3. We got a standing ovation at the Tallahassee Horror Festival. It's just really fun to mix like the fun lore of curses and Dogman, and then add it into just a scary horror movie. And it's called The Void Cat, but it's a Dogman movie. I'm a paranormal investigator. I find a cursed object on the ground. It takes over my mind, and then one of my friends comes over and he doesn't know what's coming for him. So that movie's coming out sometime this month on YouTube. It's done with the festival, so we're finally allowed to release it. I'm super excited about that. I just made a movie called Phasmophobia. Anybody play Phasmophobia, the video game? It's a PC game. Chaz? Dope. But yeah, it was a great opportunity. Phasmophobia is a ghost hunting game. It's a cooperative video game. 4 people, they gotta find clues, they gotta find the ghost, basically. Well, I went to a Tallahassee filmmakers meeting, and I talked about how I do paranormal and stuff, and the guy's like, this guy's gonna be perfect. And the mayor, it's like a zombie ghost monster. Chaz probably slayed a few of them in his day. But the movie's called The Mayor, M-A-R-E, and I play the mayor. And we filmed that like last weekend, and it was a really good opportunity because I got to be with some high-level professionals in the film business. One actor was in Spider-Man, another actress was in The Purge, and I killed both of them real quick, so they had nothing to do with me. But just a really cool opportunity because the video game is like super famous, and for us to have an opportunity to make the official license movie to it, I'm just excited to see where it comes from. And then I also have a documentary that I made with my brother Matt Williamson, Supernatural Spectrum. It's called From Fear to Understanding, and man, he has worked so hard on that, and I'm just so blessed to be a part of it. It started the day of Stacy Brown's Mayaka campout, and that's where I got to meet a lot of people here. It was monumental, of course. But Matt and Nana Boss, Marty, his mom, they came, and it's really cool because they didn't have any expectations. They were just into Bigfoot. They didn't want to be podcasters or make a living or anything. They were just trying to come for some action, and I pulled up, and it was dark, and they helped me set up their tent, and that night we had crazy activity. We had knocking, we had acorns being thrown at both of our tents in a weird gibberish chatter, and that we recorded all of it. All of it's already online. You can check it out. But that really started things because the next morning, then she found a bunch of tracks that we don't know if they were skunk ape tracks or just weird impressions. But then we did find a 6-toed print that's clear as day. But during Mayaka, we started investigating the Tatum house, the one that Chaz was talking about, that it started shaking, and then a bunch of goats walked underneath it. And that place is definitely abundant in energy. When you just stand in there, you can feel it inside of you. It is truly magical. So that whole weekend of the camp out, just strange stuff happened. It really kicked our butts into gear, and Matt started compiling his evidence and turning it into a film. And then he started really expanding his knowledge on the metaphysical and divinity rods and really just energy, the connection of the forest and everything in between. And then we went from Myakka to the Everglades to the Green Swamp. And the day after Stacy and Ryan, premiered their movie, Skunk Ape Experiments, midway through the movie, they open up a portal for Pan, and they do this dark chant. And within 12 hours of hearing that chant, we had one of the most crazy, monumental knocking interactions that we were knocking back and forth with this creature, and it felt like we were challenging each other of creativity. Matt would knock 4 times, and then it would knock back 4 times, but in a little melody, and then he would chop it up, and it would come back. And again, all videotaped, all documented, and that really started, whoa, maybe a portal did open up last night, and let's ride this wave, but let's be safe and try to figure out some truth too. And like the movie says, it's from fear to understanding. So at first, we're just trying to work through it, just trying to get some clarity, and hopefully, as the journey goes, we have understanding. And just recently, we went up to Evergreen, Alabama. All you guys know, Flat Rock Booger, our YouTube family, he was actually supposed to ride with me, but broke his foot yesterday. So definitely, good energy to Flat Rock. But Flat Rock lives up in Evergreen, Alabama. There's a documentary called The Town That Loved Bigfoot there. When we went to Waffle House and we were Bigfoot researchers, we were like celebrities. Like everybody wanted to talk to us. It was kind of cool. But Flat Rock has security cameras and audio recorders all over his property. He lives around the Sepulga River, which have BFRO official sightings. But he has some crazy video of Sasquatch knocking on the side of his trailer. One actually entered in his mom's house. One's killed his brother's dog. Tons of crazy audio, like really loud, crazy man-like, crazy stuff. So we finally had to go up there, and the first night we recorded some crazy singing on a parabolic dish, but the second night we had some crazy UFO, elemental, and Sasquatch activity. Like in the middle of the night, something ran past our tent really hard, and it woke me up, and I yelled, "Hey!" Trying to just get it to like scatter one more time so I could kind of get a feel of where it was around the tent. But Matt and I woke up the next morning with stories to tell, and we have it all documented, and our documentary is coming out very soon, From Fear to Understanding. And we've actually had professional remote viewers that have helped out on police cases go into our case, and just the documents and the stuff he's found really just puts you in more directions, because I thought the craziness of their just, I'm in a tent thinking the madness that's outside of me, and even my mind couldn't even get a fraction of what's really going on out there. So again, guys, just be safe, to let people know where you're hiking. I hike alone a lot, and so do a lot of people. Definitely get yourself a GPS locator beacon. I don't have $200 to buy one, so if anybody has one to donate, I'll take it. But just let people know. Always be safe. Don't follow the whispers. But always just follow your gut. It's the oldest thing that's inside of us. And I'm of course a little scatterbrained and a million miles per hour. So if you guys have any questions, definitely come on over to my table. If you want to buy some books, they're $10 for the cheap ones and $20 for the fancy ones. All the bottles that I have over on my table, one really cool thing, there's a place in the Panhandle called Look and Tremble. Look and the letter N, Tremble. It's the only white water of Florida, class 2 on its best day. But it has a lot of cool ghost stories. There's skunk ape legends on the Chipola River, of course, but there's a story of a headless man that's constantly looking for what he lost. And one night, I was out there videotaping everything. I found like these weird Blair Witch structures, and I felt like something was chasing me. I felt like a madman was just constantly pursuing me, and I had my knife out and everything. It was really weird. And then the next morning, I looked back and I was like, you know what? It makes sense. Like maybe a man with no head was pursuing me. It felt like a madman, but he didn't know what he was pursuing. He was just constantly pursuing me. So it was just a weird feeling. But back to the bottles. There's a really cool story. It's called the Bootlegger's Treasure. 3 bootleggers, 3 criminals. They hit a huge lick. Some people say a bank, some people say a train. But they hit a huge lick, and then they went to Look and Tremble Swamp. And they were drinking, celebrating around a fire. And then, of course, you know, more drink, more alcohol, more attitude, more testosterone. They started turning on each other. They started thinking they were going to rob each other. So, and long story short, they all killed each other. So when I'm out there looking for a skunk ape, I find trash, I find bottles, I find arrowheads, I find shark teeth. So my journey is so much wider that, you know, if I don't get ran out of the woods by Sasquatch, I'm not upset. You know, it's still a win. I'm out away from the world, healing. I hear the chorus of the crickets. It's more than enough. But the bottles, somewhere out there in Look and Tremble, you can find their camp. So every time I find one bottle, I'm ready to find that gold or the gems or whatever they took. So it's really cool to, you know, combine folklore and just local history and even a little bit of fiction, because I think all these movies have a root of reality somewhere. So even all this yelling and yapping, you know, I've never made anything up. I can't. It's all just from existence. I'm just pulling from what's already been done, you know. And again, as well, I get worked up. I'm sweating, but I've never done no handiwork on words. So the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth the handiwork. And I know it's all preachy and stuff, but I'm basically saying the dome above us is real, you know, and plants grow towards the dome. Heaven is up, hell is down. And if you're going to try to tell me that Australia is farther away than hell, then get the hell out, you know. Nothing holds me, you know. My third grade teachers that programmed me, I don't owe nothing to them. So do your own research and laugh at the establishment, because they've been proven wrong long ago. And if we want to send our, you know, dermal ridges cast and our hair to go be checked by the Freemason Lodge, then might as well just go knock on the door and send it. But I'm not worried about getting university approval or anything from the government. We have it right here. It's the community. We are the voice. We are the news. You guys seen Captain Phillips? You know, I am the captain now. You know, that's how everybody should be. You know, carry your truth. Don't rely on anybody. Snoozy Joe, he ain't got no answers, you know. You got the answers, or, you know, someone in your family does. So stick to your truth and, you know, just spread some love. And, you know, check out Zillafoot. It will let you know. And Zillafoot, honestly, it really showed me that I need to pursue my stuff. And I've written about 6 scripts since that about shamrock leprechauns and vampires and mermaids. Because if Zillafoot can get made, then any of our ideas can get made. So go pursue your passions to the fullest. I love y'all.